Good afternoon. Welcome to Let the Madness Begin. William Coleman, Marshawn Taylor, middle of the day edition for a lot of y'all in the southeastern part of the United States. You're probably seeing some snow flurries. We're looking to see some here. Maybe it will snow.
You say so.
Maybe we get what we call dirt.
A lot of wishful thinking.
But yeah, so that's where we're at right now. So if you're out there, please be safe. Please abide by all traffic. We don't want y'all to get hurt. So, you had a topic.
Right.
What's on your mind?
On my mind. Oh, there's a lot on my mind. Let's talk about the voting rights thing that fell through. The voting rights vote that fell through on the Senate floor yesterday. That crashed and burned big time. A lot of people, I think some people are not really realizing what they're trying to do as far as the Voting Right Act itself. They're trying to supersede an act that was put into the Constitution 19. Damn, I forgot the date. Either way, so they want to limit or eliminate. Either limit your privilege through certain recommendations, or outright eliminate them altogether. Bad enough that you can't vote if you're not a felon, if you're not registered. And some of us don't vote because we're in other countries, which is very possible to do as well. Now, people understand the importance. There's importance in voting, and I can see some people they're saying there's nothing significant in voting. Now, on the national forefront, yes, I can understand that. It doesn't make a difference. I understand, but in a sense, it does. Now, for those that understand, on a local level, it means a lot more for you to vote. As you said in the past, it does make a difference. And believe it or not, in politics, a lot of things start from the bottom up. The whispers that you hear below usually becomes a loud voice by the time it gets to the top. And people do not understand that. That's why you have a lot of these people, individuals that get paid, called lobbyists, that make sure that, hey, your whisper becomes a voice. And I feel that we're losing sight of what's really important. As far as who's in the big house, that's cool. That's cool. But as far as who's in the other houses below, as far as our Senate, our representatives, our mayors, our governors, for aldermen, I mean, you got to understand, when they start doing that on a national level, what do you think they're going to do as they, drop down regionally, statewide, county, town, what's other sets of townships, what do they call them? Corporations. I mean, all together. I mean, just
in corporate as well.
Yeah. So I mean, and like I said, we need to understand the significance of certain things. I know there's other things going on in the world. We going to war with Russia, as they say. Let me stop playing, because that's something I do not want. Because we're still basically we're still in two different. No, actually, we left one. So now we're still in we have a foothold in one place. We got setups in other places around the world, but I mean, hey, when somebody slips and talks up a conflict, and then tries to back down, backs his words, back up what he was saying. I mean, you kind of have an idea what's on the possible forefront.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was on my mind as well.
Okay.
So, what else was on my mind? We discussed. Oh, I know. Yeah, we were just sitting there talking. When you discussed the whole. Now I know what we're about as well. The whole thing about creating idols, in a sense, and it goes to say it's much more prominent now than it is ever, and it seems like we have a new one every month. And I mean, as an idols, not as a physical object, but as people that we look up to and we put on this pedestal. Well, and I say, oh, we put them before God. It's just we we live and die by what they say. And then not me, you and I, but we as a whole, as whether you're black, white, whoever, you know, if Cardi B was to go out and roll around and dog poop all day and say, hey, this is my beauty regimen, by all means, I'm guaranteed there's going to be quite a small group or a good amount of people doing the same thing because she does that. You know, that's her. I mean, not saying that's what she do. Please don't. I'm saying that's what she does, but I'm just saying in general.
She will sue
you. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get sued. I have nothing to sue for.
She'll sue you.
So you will get sued.
Pick up on that. Well, I appreciate her doing that.
So, but I mean, yeah, and I think we also got to be careful of what we, you know, and people say, well, what about role models? Don't role models the same thing? Not necessarily role models are the same thing. You know, it depends on who you look up to as role models. If people feel necessarily that role models should always be somebody famous, no, not necessarily. And I keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be somebody that you see on a national basis all the time out front, like LeBron James. It could be the local mailman. It could be your a church member. You know, it could be a pastor. You know, but even still, but I mean by idolize is we do things that are not beneficial to ourselves, emotionally, physically, spiritually, things that we know that are morally wrong that we attempt to do. So if Lil Wayne were to go out and smack like 10 old ladies on YouTube or whatever, we feel we should be doing the same thing. And not necessarily that. And like I said, it could be somebody that you know right away, close by, like, hey, a co-worker, you know, he hate to say he may spit in people's coffees. And, you know, you look up at that and you feel, hey, he's not here today, so I'm going to keep up the tradition alive and spit in people's coffee. I mean, but you get caught and you lose your job. But you put so-and-so on storefront. But I mean, it's just you know, a little, you know, example. I mean, I think we oftentimes, because this person, you know, and a lot of times we, like I said, we pick out people that are on the public, you know, public figures as we call them, because like I said, they're the most seen people, you know, they're the most notorious for certain things. You know, you never know what, you know, what's going on behind closed doors for them to carry themselves in that manner. I mean, what do you think about that? Because when you see, who do you idolize besides some, you call it Kaepernick, Christian Laettner, your idols? I mean, oh man.
So man, let's go back to the voting first.
Okay,
I like the voting.
Well, you should chime in, man.
No.
I want to talk.
I like to listen. Sometimes it's good to listen. So the voting thing, which I am a strong.
It is because me is great importance because people, like I said, and speaking and not to kind of stay off subject, remind you that it's not this in Georgia, it's the district attorney in Georgia.
Yes, she's launched an investigation into that. So it's crazy. You touched on a couple of things with that. So the Voters Act that was supposed to eliminate certain things on the federal level didn't go through. Right. We knew it wasn't going to go through.
Of course.
But that was one of the staples of somebody's political campaign.
Of course.
But it is what it is. I can't complain. I voted for him because to me, he was less than two evils. It is what it is. You're right. The importance of it is astronomical. I like that word. That's going to be my word of the day. And the reason why it is important is because they're willing to spend a crazy amount of money, do very backhanded stuff to keep you from voting.
From having a voice, which we all complain we claim we don't have.
So as African Americans, why do some African Americans still walk by like my vote don't count? If somebody's willing to put money, willing to put hurdles in place to keep you from voting, doesn't that mean your vote count?
I think so. I believe so.
So when I hear people say, "Oh, my vote don't count," that lets me know that number one, you honestly do not understand the power you have and the importance of it. Number two, um, you brought up one aspect of it, which is kind of a difficult one,
Right.
which is felons.
Yeah.
Some states, depending on the felony,
You
allow
can't
you
get
to.
your rights reinstated.
Some
Right.
states don't. The question I would have for you is: do you think that they should have a right to vote if they didn't follow the rules and regulations for them to vote?
I can see why, but this is my argument with that is you're willing, because you think about it, the government cashes in on the labor they put in. So in other words, the money's not going to the people, the money's going to who? The government.
Correct.
Right.
Private corporation. Yeah.
Private corporations. Either way, and either way, they still got to pay
right
on that labor, regardless. And they still got to tax on that labor.
Right.
So my thing is, if that's not a taxable asset, if I was in a taxable asset for a certain period of time,
right,
why should I not have my right to vote? Now, my thing is, depending on what the crime is, no, you know what? I would just, because my thing is this: if you served your time, you learned your lesson, and maybe there's certain grounds you may have to meet in order to say to regain your rights back to vote. By all means, you should have it. You know. Now, if it's something that's like you're now, one thing, if you're some kind of politician, you're a felon. I don't know if I want you to have a vote. You know, if I want you near, you know, near debate team. You know.
But you know, the reason why I bring that up is because that part, that aspect is because as African Americans, we're looking at they're majority black and this and third, but we're not looking at the actions that cost them. Not everybody in jail is innocent.
Oh, no.
I think we need to stop this notion, which is what we're going to talk about.
But I didn't say that though.
Remember? No. I know not you. Not you, but I think that's
that.
when people advocate for that, they forget that they committed a good portion of them committed a crime, which means that they did not want to follow the rules and regulations that are set in place for the people who voted.
Right, I got you.
So you want to give them the actual right to vote when it's like saying, I know you did wrong. We got people who did right. I'm gonna give you the same rights that they had, even though you went down the wrong path.
Okay,
that's actually what they're doing. Now, do I think that there could be a happy medium? I think there can be.
I think so.
The problem is that even in that happy medium, we'll still end up with a welfare system where it's broken. Because if we treat it like welfare, where you're supposed to have checks and balances and you don't, then you'll have people who will fall through the cracks and everything. So that part is tough. I do think, and I know people be like, "Oh, you wrong." Yeah, they're human beings.
Do you feel they shouldn't know, in your honest opinion? Because I feel like this: you as long as you've done your time, you served it, and you're not on probation. You know what I'm saying? You're on parole. You're not on probation.
But that goes into the stipulations. So for me, if let's say if you're a felon,
right,
you have to be a one-time felon. If you're two-time, I'm not. No.
Okay.
Anything past one, no, because you're a habitual liar.
Okay.
You're a habitual
felon. Or less.
Yeah. You're lying. I still deserve it, right? I'm trying to change. No, you're not trying to change.
Right.
There's a difference. Now, I know people be like, well, you can't judge people this and that. That's not judging. If you tell me that I have to go to work to 9 to 5 and this person has to go work 9 to 5, they choose to keep stealing, then why should they have the same freedom as me? Now, if you have it where, you're a one-time felon and you got out and you are contributing to society by and large of actually becoming a productive citizen, then I think there should be a grace period of 5 years. Because I think 5 years is enough to get you into where you're in good graces with society.
Okay.
Because if I say within a year, then that's a lie, because you're more liable to go back to criminal activity within a year because it's hard to adjust.
Right.
Coming out of prison. Now, time served, that's an interesting one because not all felons' times are equal.
But it goes back to what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
You can't be coming off parole.
Right.
You still can't be on probation.
So I do agree with that. So if those measures were in place, then all means I think, you can insert them. Now, how would that affect the voting? I still think it wouldn't affect the voting. But I understand why we as a people think that it's important, because we see a lot of people, a lot of minorities in these prison systems. And I know right now as minorities, we sit here, we're like, we don't like prison. So what do you do with people who commit crimes? Nobody has ever come up with an answer with that. We don't like cops. What do you do with people who commit crimes? Nobody has come up with an answer with that. So we say things and we don't understand the implications of what we're saying. And that's a big issue within our community. We just hop on bandwagons. The Voting Act is very important, not only because of it gives us the ability to continue to vote, but remember, I think starting this year, real ID goes into effect.
Right. That's another, and people don't understand that was slipped in years ago in order to, like you said, limit people's right to vote or ability to go vote. Not the right, because you always got the right. Is limit you to physically go and vote, more or less.
Not to mention, depending on where you're at, I know South Carolina, if you don't update your address,
of course,
they're not going to allow you to vote, right. Even though you may be still in the same county, but because they have it strictly for voting zones.
Because people understand, because your zones are set up according to your address, and even with that, because the crazy thing is, the 1 year it was I think it was the first year I voted, or the second time I voted. It was myself. I still kept the same address. It was my grandparents, myself, and my uncles. I think myself and my uncles, they had us in another district, and they had everybody else in a different district, and we all claimed the same address. But even still, but then also at that time, they had it. For some reason, at that time, there was a stipulation that your ID, it had to be a state ID. I couldn't use my cat card or my ID. I had to use my state. It had to have the address that's listed in the book. They look in the system. Well, they had a book at the time.
Right.
If that wasn't in there, you was not allowed to vote. And that was just in South Carolina.
Right.
And for a short period of time, it was weird. Before they actually came up with the real ID type concept. Here.
So a lot of
right,
things have been set in place, and a lot of people don't really understand that these are to kind of like distract you from voting, kind of like to hinder you from voting. It's like, man, I gotta update my address, which, by the way,
it's always important. You should do that.
It is. And you said something else where people who are overseas, absentee voting.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times we go overseas, live a life, and we forget that we still have dual citizenship.
Right.
So a lot of people forget that portion. But absentee voting is very important. I do think that we have lost sight, and you made a great point on that. We lost sight on what's important.
Yeah.
Voting is not only important, but it's kind of like the foundation of our political system. But if we don't understand, and I think what it is, a lot of us don't understand the political system. And instead of raising our hands and saying, teach us, we'll rather sit there and say it's not for us. And one thing I have always been taught, why say something's not for you?
Understandable.
And I think that's what happens a lot of times. We say it's not for us. And it goes back to when we talked about the felonies and stuff like that.
Right.
They're hitting you with felonies early at 16.
Right.
So you already eliminated before you're even able to vote.
Right.
And that's where I have a problem with a lot of these parents out here, where you're sitting here praying that your child get better instead of putting your hands on your child. Where you're sitting out here just not really understanding how your child getting suspended from school, going to court before fighting, how this affects them later on in life. Where a friend of mine said, we lose our soldiers before they're able to go to war.
True.
So our soldiers are already behind before they're able to even get into the game. And what we expect.
Right. But yeah, so that's where I feel about the whole thing. But I know what you're trying to get at now. We're really trying to get to now. The other thing, the whole idols thing. Now,
yes.
Do you feel? I know Kwame Brown is your idol, your biggest idol? Just look, I look it in your face right now. You know, Michael Jordan. You know, anybody from the North Carolina line of tree. Even our present coach. The great Hugh B. Davis. Your greatest idol. You just want to be just like him. Tall. Former basketball player. Used to play for the Knicks. What I'm saying, with his white wife.
Yep.
That's what you want to say, with his white wife. But I mean, yeah.
I honestly don't care that it's white. I just thought that it was funny.
No, I thought it was a weird comment too, but no. But all jokes aside, I know, like I said, I'm just messing with them though. But I mean, I think at times when we're younger, we do idolize certain people, especially in the neighborhood, especially I think we do it more. I think we do more locally a lot of times, and we don't realize how they call it. We're fanboying,
right?
Or man crushing, woman crush, or hey, whatever. This is just what it is. Nothing sexual about it. It's just you really sensationalize this person to like they're like, oh, they're the all being, all saying, the all knowing person. And I think it's more common now because everybody's so interconnected, not physically, but through the internet, what they got going on through streaming, what they see on TV, what they see in the newspaper, what they see on video games, it kind of influences people to,
No, you're absolutely right. And so, it's funny because you separated something and you said
role models and idols.
Yeah. Right. And I realized and what the problem what we have is we romanticize people a lot,
right,
which is true. So we sit there and we find some because they say something we like and we just dismiss everything else. I always say we don't vet people.
Right.
So we allow them to get into these positions where they could go and speak for us, represent us, and we follow them blindly, as Skip Bayless would say, blind witnesses.
Yeah.
The other thing we have done, and I do believe, I don't think it's more prevalent now, but I do think the problem now is that the system is set up for you to fully support them, to include financially.
Right.
And I think that that's where the issue falls in that, because what we have seen, and I'll just stick out with the Black community, and I was still Tommy Sotomayor point in this one. I was still his point, so I have to give him credit for it. And
okay.
He made a good point. He said we're giving money to people like Kevin Samuels, to people like Fresh and Fit. We're literally giving money
exactly
to people like Young Pharaoh and all these people, for them to come back and say they don't like Black people, or for them to come back and say, you get like me. I made you.
Right.
But this is where the idolization comes in. Right. I made you for you to crap on me. And that's what happens. Cam Samuels get up there and be like, if you ain't a six-figure man, you was a man that was spraying cologne. Talking about, this is how you wear cologne. I'm not lying. These are your videos. You probably took them down now. This is how you wear cologne. This is him in the video. He looked like us in these videos. He wear cologne like this. Let me be your personal stylist. Now all of a sudden, because we gave you money, now all of a sudden,
I wouldn't say give him money. We give him a platform.
We gave him a platform and gave him money because he took our money. And now all of a sudden, oh, if you're not like me, I made you.
Right.
Young Pharaoh. I don't do Black women anymore. Blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. You was Black power. Now you get money and a little white girl. Now you're happy.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Young Pharaoh in a while. He used to be informative.
Exactly.
Made you think. I like what he said, but it's very informative.
And that's the problem.
Right.
All of them do that until they get money.
Oh.
And that's what we're seeing in the Black community. They use our not being naive because we want to be so Black power that they use that, make themselves into idols. We're supporting them, giving them money and doing everything for them. They're saying, guess what they do? Crap on us.
Saying, hey, I don't date Black women.
Yeah, Fresh and Fit. Oh, Black women are like this. Oh, they're like that.
What about Tommy Sight?
No. I'm glad you brought that up.
Go ahead, man.
He actually smashed, which is weird. But no, but I respect him in the act. I don't agree with I don't agree with knocking Black people. I will say that actually going back and looking at some of his videos, even though I don't like the word I don't like nobody when they do a paintbrush.
Right.
Because when you do a paintbrush, it reminds me of a time when I was walking the streets and white women would hold their purses. And it's like you're doing a paintbrush because you think I'm gonna rob you because you got this thing in your mind of that's what all black people do. So I don't like paintbrush theory, and I don't like that what he does with that. But he has gotten better, and he's probably always been this way where he actually kind of shortened the paintbrush a little bit and actually hone in on the problems and
Okay.
talked about the problem. Now he still does the everything.
Right.
I'm not going. I'm not a fanboy.
Yeah, I'm not saying you were.
No. But
yeah, because no, go ahead. See what you say.
oh no, I'm not a fanboy. But I do understand how to weed through it, and I think that's where you're coming in when we talk about the idolization is that people don't weed through. Now, everything a person gives you, you're not supposed to drink. You're not supposed to eat everything someone gives you.
Right.
How many of us go to people's house and we eat everything that they have, and they all
if somebody greedy enough to do it,
you're greedy enough, but
yeah, you don't eat everybody's potato salad. You don't eat everybody's fried chicken.
You're not supposed to, but we as black people, we do that. And we get so consumed, like you said with young Pharaoh, when he first came out, what can happen in your life to make you turn from that? Money. Now, Tariq, whatever his name is, same thing, money. Now all of a sudden you flying in front of us, and that's the other thing that happens. And our musicians do it too. Get like me, I'm buying your record.
But the difference is that's what's expected of them.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. Go with your point though.
Okay, I like that. But I'm supporting you. You like
right.
These people are making money off of us,
right,
and telling us that we are less than them.
Right.
How is that? So we went from a area where we had from looking at them as role models and mentors to promoting them to idolization because now they're doing it. You're right. If CB rolled around in mud with poop in it and said that was her beauty regimen, 20,000 women would do the same tomorrow. I guarantee you.
Okay.
And I will tell them they smell like boo-boo. But you right. And then, they say never meet your idols because
you'll be disappointed.
You'll be disappointed. Everybody who meets their idols always get disappointed. But I do understand the problem is we are so bored with how we are. We're so bored with looking at the person in the mirror. We don't really look at the person in the mirror with the same eyes as we look at the other person. We feel like our voice can't be as large as theirs because I feel the same way. Well, then instead of looking at that person and building them up, because I know a lot of people be like, well, what's the difference between now and 1969? I'll be like, well, 1969, there were issues on the table where we all went to the table. Right. You may have had some figureheads, but there were multiple people.
Right.
We have gotten to a point where we just be paid once a month. Bam. You it because you said something I like. Here's all our money. And then a month later, leave you for a white girl. A month later, they sit up there and tell you ain't crap because you ain't guy like me. And it's like, well, technically, I made you.
Right.
So
okay. So you want to go to the subject at hand? What you got for you? How this all came to? All right. So people wondering because I think it's asked me a couple times of where the name came from. The name now is Vintage Sight and Sound, but originally it was Instant Vintage Media, which the name still will be used, but in a different manner. Well, I always wanted to put something together where there's a medium for everything as a medium, whether it's music, art, everything dealing with the arts, media arts, and everything. It's in we think of for entertainment, right. For enlightenment and information, whatever, inspiration, and that's what I came about. I was like, well, okay, let's do as we call it media company now, a media, company, business, that sort of deal. Now the name came from Instant Vintage It's from Raphael Sadiq album. His very first solo album. It's Instant Vintage.
It is. I didn't even.
You
Oh
understand
wow! I
And-
didn't even think it is. Yeah.
But also because that's where the name came from. But also at the same time, I used to listen to the album whenever I got to a certain space. I always listen to it. It always rejuvenates some thoughts in my head. And I also said I always wanted to be something to where a name was you could immediately like something that appeals to everybody in the sense you think you think instant is immediate,
Right.
it's right away, right then and there, however you want to say it, right then and there. Vintage is more of I want to say like a lineal thing, it's like you think of like from a certain period, a certain time,
Right.
a certain manner, in a sense. And I think in a thing, the immediate you are born, the immediate time, your instant you are born, you are a vintage of one kind. You are your own vintage. You are your own brand. You are only, and that's where instant vintage steps in. That's when the name comes together.
Okay.
And that's what I was like, that's what I like about it because it's supposed to be exactly what everybody is. You are an immediate vintage of your own. If your mom and dad were to take theirs and try again, they will not come up with another My Sean.
You're right.
No ways of purpose. If my mom and dad were to try again, they've tried several times. They've only came with perfection the first time, and that was me. So I mean,
How do the other ones feel about that?
They'll be all right. Like I said, you can share it with them, let them know. That's just it's just a one-time thing. They've tried with others, and they still trying to work it out, but it's only a one-time thing, ladies and gentlemen. And I decided because the name was a lot to say with the syllables and the consonants, more consonants than the vowels. So I just say we should just keep it the vintage sight and sound because basically with the sight and sound, we're trying to get you to see, also listen within what you're hearing, in a sense. Kind of inspire. Like we said, we're trying to inspire, trying to educate, we're trying to entertain. Hey, do and some other stuff. We got to say get out there, and that's what it's all about. Maybe hopefully become a movement that people be a part of. People want to share, enjoy. Get something out of it. Because like I said, we're not here, just to talk, just to be talking. Because there are people out there that do that.
Right.
Like I said, we're here to inspire, educate, entertain, inform, do the whole nine. That's why we're on the different platforms. I mean, hey, money comes, cool, great. If not, hey, we'll do it till we figure out what the next step is going to be. But like I said, this is step one. Here's the foundation. Actually, the first step started when we're still on it, to exposure.com.
Right.
Like I said, it kind of like a thing where say I'm going to give her a shout out. Christy McLaurin, Christy Love, as she refers herself, she started recording with Mr. Dale and Ray at 2exposure.com. So like I said, when you get time, check that out. They got nice little stuff as well. They got the television, online television. I think they got videos on there too.
Right. Yeah.
You might find a loop video too in there.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right.
I told you, I think a lot of crew videos too in there.
Yeah. And Internet Magazine.
I think every now and again they might have a podcast on there. So like I said, look forward to more of us continue to be on there as a foundation. Like I said, we try to continue to keep that strong. Also, so in a sense, it kind of got me rolling to pointing me in the direction of what I really would trying to do. So, and like I said, and we checked out the setup. I loved it, and I told him about it, and I was like, "Hey," and told him. It's like thinking about it, and we showed up one day, and he was like, "Hey, we like what you say. We'd like to come out and do something with you sometime." He's like, "Hey, come back. Oh, come on, do 20 minutes. It was 15 minutes.
15
I can't remember.
minutes. We got 15 minutes. 15 minutes of funk.
15 minutes, boy. 15 minutes, and we rocked. I mean, we're rusty. I mean, we weren't good, but I mean, according for somebody who's just doing it for the first time,
right?
I think we did an excellent job, and I think we just got better as time went on. and we stuck with it since. So, like I said, shout out to 2exposu.com, and that's the number 2exposu.com for those that are wondering. Like I said, they rotate recordings every day, I believe. So it's not gonna be more. Maybe sometimes it'll be something from recent, sometimes from years ago,
Right.
and I think even sometimes he does live, not only during the weekend, but sometimes during the week as well.
Right.
So don't be surprised you might catch, yours truly's on it as well. And like I said, this is step one. So once we feel like we're good with step one, step two might be something where doing something with art, maybe events. We're still trying to figure that out because we need to get some other stuff, set up first before we start making the next step. Because the thing is, we want to be a difference and make a difference. Not only just speak about it, be about it as well. So, I mean, is there anything else? I mean, kind of like I said, I asked you to be a part of it. What else would you like to know as far as anything else you would want to, anything, some insight you may need on why, or because you figure out how I came up with the name, figure out what the name came from, what made me want to do this.
It's actually pretty dope.
Yeah, because to be honest with you, it was hard to come up because you want the name to stick out, but you don't want it to be outrageous. You want it to be something that people, when they hear it, it registers with them, and then when you break it down, because if you listen to the album, there's no other album that's ever been out like it since.
Right.
There's been copies of this album, like this album, the way he formatted, but album is just its own. It just stands on its own, and I feel that we all should try to do the same, stand on our own. It stands out. I've had all his albums. The album I listen to the most, and that's his first one.
First off, I agree with you 100% about the standing out part. With this company, how does that work? How is that woven into the philosophy of who we are as far as standing out? Because you mentioned something. We're not just a company we want to entertain, but educate. How do you feel you can weave that together and make that work to where they both complement each other at the same time? Because sometimes the entertainment outweighs the education.
It's gonna be like that, and people need to understand. It's not a thing where we're gonna, you're not gonna see my Sean we're not always gonna hear talk facts about voting.
Right.
Like on another show we might have, we might decide to just have fun and it just, like I said, entertain a little bit, maybe a little inspiration. Sometimes, my Sean get on his, or one of us get on our soapbox. We just, we let the world have it for just to get some stuff off our chest. Because keep in mind, like I said, we're not doctors, we're not psychologists. We got an opinion. I think we say we're veterans. From the United States Armed Forces. Army, all the way Army. Let's keep it going. Go Army.
Yeah.
Stomp the hell out of Navy. So we've seen quite a bit. We've traveled quite a bit. So I mean, I think, like I said, there's a lot we bring to the table. As opposed to some people that are still trying to figure out what we bring to the table. Because you're very educated. I'm somewhat educated. We're very cultured young men. And they say we're not young anymore, but we're cultured men. So I get like
my daughter.
Yeah. But yeah, we're out there, man. So like I said, we want to start, making a difference, for not only just us here, in our immediate area, but in other areas.
Do you feel as though with this platform now, do you feel like it puts more, or you feel like you have more of a responsibility to not just to give an image, but to live what you say? Because I've known you for years and you are who you are. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying, do you feel as though now that you're on this big platform, and I say big because I do feel like it will be big, that now,
I like how you say that. Okay.
You have to, give a positive representation of what African American males can be, because you did bring up a good point. Not only do you educate but entertain, and I know a lot of times we're seeing, especially on these platforms, where Black men feel as though to entertain they have to go below the belt. And so far, in our time that we've been doing this, we may have cracked jokes or anything, but we haven't gone to that point to where we dig in the dirt. Do you think that that's something that you want to stay above, where you
I definitely do. I mean, nothing wrong with you doing little shots, but to sit there and not right to, like I said, my thing is we gotta do it different. We gotta speak different, think different, carry ourselves different. Now I'm not saying here I'm the cleanest. Uh, I like I tell people, like I tell you all the time, be honest with yourself first. Always be honest with yourself. But, if you're not honest with yourself, there's no point in trying to be honest with everybody else in the world.
True.
You know,
I agree with you.
There's things that I've done in my life, that hey, I'm proud of, and there's things in my life that I'm not so proud of. But I'm human. We're all human. I don't stand to judge. Like I tell people all the time, if I tell you things that I've been into, that I've done in my life, you might look at me 2 times. You might look at me a couple times. You might walk away and look back several times as you walk away. So my thing is here. I'm just here for the people. I'm here for the people. But
we the people.
We the people.
I'm sorry.
We the people. But yeah, so like I said, it's not, like I said, being malicious is not what we're here for. We try to keep that for everybody else. But I mean, like I said, if they're welcome to debate, come for us, whatever. I could do malicious thing when that time comes. But I'm not into all that. I'm not into being messy. I'm not into all that. You're like, if we got something to talk about, by all means, reach out to me. We can talk.
Right.
You got a text? No, we can Zoom, video chat, whatever. We can meet in person. By all means. But we not about all that. But I'm definitely not about that. I don't know about this young man here, because he throws his shots, whatever. I'm still waiting for somebody to respond. Then we'll see what the changes then. But still, I'm not. And I think that's the reason why I decided to do it, because I've seen people on these platforms and what they, like you said, the chances start out well, very good. And then once they start getting ahead of themselves, they start looking down on folks and they start judging it and thinking better. They start viewing themselves in light that it's really uncalled for, really.
Right.
Because sometimes we don't put them as other people, or the people that look up to these folks. We don't put them on a pedestal. Sometimes they just climb up on there.
You're right.
And we talk, we look up to them, and we talk, we keep them up there.
That's true.
Like you said, we buy the records. We send their money to the Patreon, which we need to set up a Patreon too. Patreon account too.
You don't send money, spend money with us.
Yeah, might as well. I mean,
I at least have one black girl in the mix.
One black girl in the mix. Okay. There we go, then. All right. So yeah, you buy the records, you buy the clothes, you buy the books, you buy whatever they put out there,
right.
Their sex toys or everything. We support as a society, as a people, as a nation, but like I said, they go from giving us quality, content to
right.
Not as much as they used to give,
I like that. And I like what you said, because you came from a standpoint of saying you was a consumer, and
right.
And that's one thing I like to tell people. As consumers, sometimes you see things and you're like, how can I not necessarily make it better, but at least give a version of it that may resonate better with people who are more like me. And I see that a lot with a lot of content that I have been exposed to on these channels. And I think that that's one thing, I like about us, because I'm not a fan of academics, but we'll watch academics.
Yeah. And like you said, but I know message all the time, but watch Tommy Sotomayor,
right,
and Fresh and Fit. But like at the same time, sometimes it helps you think about where you're at mentally. And a lot of times it inspires you to, okay, sometimes they might have a small good point in there.
Yeah.
A small point. And other times you're like, well, damn, where the hell did you get this from?
No, you're absolutely right.
Like, for instance, we had a conversation, we talked about how one of the guys from Fresh and Fit, we're trying to speak from a standpoint from an actual soldier on a battlefield or a trained soldier. And I'm like, in the sense, you could tell he's inexperienced. He has no idea what he's talking about.
Right.
In a sense, like, nah, we don't, and even soldiers that I've known that's actually been in combat don't speak and think in that sense, whatever,
yeah.
But hey, it's just like, damn. So how do people view actual physical combat? How do actual people feel about conflict? How do they feel it should be handled? As opposed to how it's really being handled.
Right.
You know,
No, that's a great point, and I like that. Because I heard some people say they don't listen to other YouTubers and this, that. There are other people in this media. I like to do that because it does inspire to talk about something. Some things that they talk about, they may come from a standpoint I'll be like, I don't agree with, but I could look at the talking points and we could talk about it and shed more light on it, and vice versa. And I do believe that that's how information flows, because our information is not just book. It's not just classroom. It's actually regional, and what I may have experienced may be different than someone else's. So if I'm listening to them and I'm like, wait a second, I may not have experienced it that way, but I like the talking point, I can take it and come home. It's like baking a cake. 4 people could bake a devil food's cake, but somebody in the north may like theirs, somebody in the south may like theirs, somebody out west may like theirs. That don't mean everybody's gonna like each one, but they all have. So I do believe that's how we are. Now, in the startup of your company, you took an extended break. How how do you feel this company kept going while you was gone? Because there was a period of time, almost 2 years of you.
Oh, it was you. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it was all you though. That was all you. I ain't gonna lie to it, man. Like I said, you're a great help. And like I said, when you move forward, and I gotta do the same, from this point on. But at the same time, like I said, we work in other aspects to make sure that, you're always a part. And I think people, as things go forward, regardless of where we're at and where we're not at, I think they don't get a quality product. And I think we're making sure that they're getting quality content from this point out. Yeah, like I said, it was hard. It was hard. Like I said, I felt kind of, upset that I couldn't do what I want to do, not realizing there's other ways to approach it, and going about making things happen. We're going to continue to do so in no manners now. And that, it was a long time, 2 years. It went by pretty quick. It didn't seem like, also like 1 year to me. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, at one point, that's where I was at mentally. For a while. Remember, I did chime in one time.
Right,
I did reach out one time. So, but I was hoping I would have continued. But if I were, like you said, the other avenues, let me say, like the YouTube connection and the fact, Facebook Live, we could actually, but I do apologize if I've been gone for so long. I am before you once again. That's just, it was crazy though. But like I said, I do appreciate, you holding it down while I was away. Giving Uncle Sam my little bit of time. Whew, that's a lot of time. Between COVID and what was going on in the world at the time, it's something. It's something, man. It's something. Learned a lot. Learned a lot about myself, and yeah, shall continue to learn.
So we're going to address the elephant in the room. Do you feel like we will explore adding a third person into the mix, i.e. a female, as like the dynamic of our first original show?
Talk about
because we're going to trademark a certain name. I can't say it yet until we trademark it.
Let's say this. Like I said, we might, like I said, maybe something to consider in the near future. All jokes aside. So, like I said, it's worth the night, it's worth the thought, and it's worth an attempt to see where it goes. Okay. So, man, I'll leave it at that.
Do you feel as though it's good to have and I say this not to be malicious, but I actually think it does resonate a little bit differently. Do you think it's better when you have more of a male point of view when you're speaking as far as with your panel? And the reason why I say that is because a lot of shows do have the female. You even see with sports shows now, they'll have the moderator will be female. And I think it's more forced now.
Yeah. But it's good if the woman has, like, for instance, you look at what's the show with Shaq and the NBA show?
Oh, Inside Stuff.
Inside Stuff. She actually has
Candace Parker.
Candace Parker. She's married to a woman now.
She never met me in her life.
Don't worry about it. You taking too. So
yeah, I know. That's why I said I had to catch myself.
you taking too. So you good. So I was gonna say, in a sense, it's good if the person has some experience and some idea of what they're talking about But a lot of times, it's like if you're studying it as opposed to experienced it,
Okay.
it's going to be a different. It's going to be a different interaction.
Okay.
You know, my thing is, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with other shows that have people that, you know, the female reporters or whatever they call, whatever the title they give them. There's nothing wrong with that. Some of them are good if they're confident,
Right.
and they're experienced enough of how to, you know, conduct. Because a lot of times they start out giving interviews, that you're interviewers in a sense. So in a sense, when they get up on that panel, they're kind of in an interview mode instead of an interaction mode.
Okay, I like
interactive
that.
mode. You know,
I like that. I like
That's,
that.
instead of it's a hey, I give you a question, you give me an answer. Instead of a hey, this is a conversation, so I'm gonna put a question out. You respond. Hey, I respond into either one of your responses. You know, I mean, very few. Like Rachel Nichols was very good at that.
Yeah, yeah.
She's very good at that. Like
really
she picked that up quick. Like she went from an interview mode to the interact mode.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to others, like, hey, they sit there. Hey, so what do you think about the Lakers game? And they sit there and let the answer, and
that's it.
Oh yeah, it was a wonderful game. Yeah, it was an excellent game. Yeah, LeBron scored so he looked good dunking that basketball. You know,
it sounded like the female that was doing the Nickelodeon.
In a sense, yeah.
I feel bad.
In that sense, yeah. You think about it. Instead of like, hey, this is what we need you to do. This is what I need you to work on, because it's gonna take a minute. Because you're used to just doing an interview, as opposed to hey, we interacting. You know, because you look at even with Candace is on there, the show still it keeps afloat. You know, there's no dead air. Everybody's interacting. You know, she's not always chiming in, because a lot of times it's not always good to chime in.
That's true.
But at the same time, hey, when she feels a certain way, she's gonna make her opinion known, and her presence is felt.
So she's not Molly. That's what she's saying.
Either way, your presence is known. It's not hey, throw the camera on her.
Right.
Okay, hey Molly. Oh hey, oh yeah, I think the Lakers were good last. You know, I think LeBron should pass more. Hey, I think Westbrook should be traded. You know, so what do you think, Stephen A? Well, I think we should go out on a date. You know, tonight. Stop playing.
That's the rumor.
They said, "Yeah, we gonna get stupid for real. Keep playing." But yeah, and like I said, I wanted to kind of be like the original show. That same kind of interactive, you know, that kind of, you know, presence, you know, it's very important, you know, because at the same time, you don't want to be, you want to make sure that on your worst day, the other two can carry the show.
Right.
On my worst day, those two carry the show. On their worst day, we carry the show.
Yeah.
You know, and then on their best day, and everybody's on their best day, you know, however, whoever can carry the whole show. It's just like, and it collaborates better that way, you know.
That triangle offense with Jay Williams, Kyrie Irving, and Grant Hill.
Oh, man.
That's actually pretty cool. That's actually be a great. And I'll do one better. 2001 Jay. No, 2001 Jay Williams.
He said Scott Williams. No, you're not talking about Jay Williams that laid down the motorbike.
2001, before
just like in the Allstate commercial.
Before the motorcycle accident.
You know he was the model for that, right?
I believe it too.
It's like, hey,
I got to get his book. He tells a story,
right.
And it's crazy.
But yeah, man, and like I said, it's a possibility, my G. We can make that happen. Okay. It's worth exploring.
So everybody has what they call their 3, 6, 1 year plan. Where do you see your 3-month plan?
3 month?
Yeah. Within the next 3 months.
In 3 months?
How do you see as far as because I see from just 2 months ago to now, you can see the difference, not only just with the change of the change in the setup of how we put things on,
right?
To, you know, having the logo now,
right?
To, you know, actually doing certain
things.
So
3 months, possibly some products for people to buy, some merchandise or merch as they call it.
Yeah, merch, yeah.
Merch, maybe some merchandise. Maybe doing an event or two, possibly the next 3 months. And possibly, like I said, that show you just mentioned, maybe trying to attempt it and see how it goes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, do you feel like there will be a positive impact on what you're trying to do? Because I feel like
I
that's
think it
that's the
will
most
be.
important thing
I
to
think it
you.
will. I just don't want it to be like it's a I think it will be an impact. And I don't and people, it's not like we're trying to go after a specific crowd. We're just trying to do our thing regardless of who is in the mix. So that's first of all, people need to understand. Um I think it's gonna go over well. Either laws of our intentions and execution are meant to are good. Our intentions give a good content, and our execution is very good. I think it's always success. I'm sorry, successful. I mean, and that's my opinion alone.
Okay.
So
Okay. I mean, I'm down for the ride, and I have enjoyed it, and I think I see great things, and I think we have done a lot given the inexperience, and I take that word with pride, because a lot of times we sit here and we think that we're supposed to come out the gate with everything, and I think
no,
sometimes coming out the gate, not having the experience, but the drive and the will actually makes up for the inexperience. And I think
it,
with us, we
but that's how
don't
it's
have it.
supposed to do it, and that's how it's supposed to work, regardless of what it is. Whether you're trying to start your own business, which technically you can say this is a business, whether you out there trying to build your own house or whatever, you gotta sometimes the drive makes up for, like you said, for the inexperience, and the not being as informed on it, because a lot of times it can put you in touch with the right people or the right information.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of times is what we try to do is, hey, not only just other people, ourselves, and within the right people, with the right information.
Right. So I that's one thing I love about how we're doing it, and I love the fact that I say freedom, but I like to say freedom with boundaries, because I think freedom without boundaries is chaos. So
True.
freedom with
True.
boundaries, and I think we're at that level where we have freedom with boundaries. We understand our platform, we understand our words. More importantly, we understand how our words spoken in a certain way can impact not only just us but the people around us. So I think we have worked on that, and honed in on that craft to where we complement each other, where we won't compromise each other.
Right. No, I understand that.
So
To be honest with you, man, I think we can rock with them. We can come close to rock with the best of them.
Yeah.
$1 million, $1 million worth of game.
He ain't ready. Gilly the kid, Gilly
Yeah.
the king, he ain't ready.
You
Wallow
ready?
3000 not ready.
Wallow 3000 ain't ready.
Nah, I love
Wallow, man.
It's crazy because I'm glad seeing his growth. And
Oh man, I love it. I love it. We my and I'm gonna put it. You know what? My goal within the next few years is hopefully what we can. And they do it with other podcasts. They did it with the Ghetto Boys. They did it with Drink Champs. We're able to interact with them the same way. We able to go on their show.
right.
They come on help us out. We put on our show. Whatever. A little collab fest. I got a few ideas too. So by all means, my dog, we gonna make some things happen in this world. They gonna remember me on YouTube. They gonna remember me on Facebook Live. They gonna remember me on all these little platforms. They gonna remember this face and this voice.
That's what's up, man.
And my stuttering words. That's right. Got it. Let's go.
So, you got anything else for the people, man?
Share, subscribe, like, interact. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us what we need to be doing. Hey, tell us to be a part of what we're doing. We're taking applications for that third female counterpart. This ain't no marriage proposal or like that. Let's get it clear. We're good on that. But no, we just, like I said, hey, you seem interested. Somebody that might be interested, somebody that might do a good job. Not somebody, and let me get clear. Please don't need to be ratchet. I don't mind to be opinionated. Okay? Nothing wrong with being brought up in the project. I have no problem with that. But I don't need to be super ghetto. So, hey, please stop me. Please cut me if I'm wrong. If I say anything off base, you don't have to be well spoken, but it does help. Like I said, your opinion is always, welcome. But all means, just let us know.
That's gonna be a show.
What's that?
I like that. That's gonna be a show, and it's not just gonna be geared towards females. But I like what you said, because even in the midst of you saying what you wanted and what you're not going to accept, you felt the need to say, correct me if I'm wrong. Why do Black people feel like it is it is disrespectful to correct one another?
Oh no, that could be the next show.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
end
what I
this one.
said.
Let's
That's
end
why.
this one. Let's
That's why
roll
I
to the
said.
next one. Let's
That's
end.
why I said. I like what you. I
Yeah.
like because
By
when
all
you were
means,
saying that,
I got a
and
saying on that.
that was nothing wrong
I
with
got
you
a saying
saying.
that. I got a saying for that. By all means,
Yeah,
but
so.
yeah. So you want to go ahead and cut the stream on this one. Or you want to go on to the next one.
Yeah, okay, we could do that. But we would like to say thank y'all for tuning in. Like I said, share, subscribe. Be 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 our conscience. You can tell us, what we did right, what we did wrong. More importantly, you could say, hey, we have topics that we would like for y'all to talk about, and I would like to come on and talk. And we have no issues with that. We're on all platforms from toexposeyou.com to Instagram and everything in between, with YouTube and Facebook and SoundCloud will be up and running. I know we keep saying that, and I know it sounds like, dang, y'all keep saying that, but we have actually started working on every detail right now. We did start our new show, which will be published in the next week with Rolando, a podcast about nothing. So check that
We
out.
need to make sure we make sure we're not trying to take D-Bowser's name. We might need to change that.
Oh, well, okay.
But no, we'll make sure. Right now, we're gonna keep it at a podcast about nothing. But we should make sure that it's not being used. We're not, like I said, we can't afford to be sued yet.
Yeah,
you know. We maybe get 10 million YouTube subscribers and
I won't be sued
Facebook friends, and
I ain't trying to be Tasha K.
Whatever. Maybe. But yeah. So either way, but yeah, podcast about nothing coming to you soon. That's it, really. I mean, you said everything. On social medias and everything. And like I said, we'll cut and go to the next one here shortly.